Hello everyone. In this, we will understand about operations management. To start with, we will understand the basic definition and then the scope of this operations management. Operations management, when we say it involves all organization activities that acquire the raw materials, which we call it as inputs, and then convert them into a consumable product or services as required to meet the needs of the end consumers. So it's basically a conversion process, and it deals with both tangible products and intangible services. So we have raw material, which is in the form of input, and then conversion happens through some process, finally to produce a finished good, or you can deliver a service. Inputs, whatever it is, it can be in any of the following forms or resources. It can be in the form of a material, can be in the form of a machines, or manpower, or electricity, or any other facilities, storage space. All those things comes under your resources. There are two objectives which we call twin objectives of OM. We can just think about the word CURE. CU stands for customer service, and RE stands for resource utilization. Customer service. So it is about the right thing at the right price and at the right time you are planning to deliver. Means to provide the agreed levels of customer service, and which will result in your customer satisfaction by providing goods or services with the right specifications at the right cost and at the right time. So that is about your customer service objective. Then your resource utilization objective, basically about how do I maximize or optimize my utilization of resources, which means you'll be focusing on minimizing the losses, minimizing any underutilization, and minimizing wastage also. Means to basically achieve the adequate levels of resource utilization or productivity. That is how it is done. What are the major decision areas, or we can say scope of operations management? First of all, we need to decide about what is to be produced. Means you are focusing on the selection of product. After you select the product, then you are focusing on the design of that particular product, for which we may proceed with the quality functional deployment. Means you identify what are all specifications required by a customer, and for these specifications, how the product will be developed or made. You try to decide that. How much to produce, the quantity, which means you will have your capacity planning. You will also do a demand forecasting based on the market demand. You are forecasting for the future. Where to produce means you need to decide about the location, whether it will be outside the country or inside the country. Once you decide about within the country, then which region. Once you decide about the region, then about the state. Once you decide about the state, then which city or town or village, whatever it is, that you have to decide. So for deciding all these things, you will be analyzing various factors which influence choosing of your location. So facility location, you need to spend time to decide because it cannot be frequently changed. How to produce? It is about after you decide about the location, you need to construct your factory. So for that, you need to decide about the layout, your facilities layout, where my stores department will come in, where my shop floor will be, means where I will be doing my actual production, where my maintenance function should be, where my purchase function should be, where my human resource, quality control, all these activities or functions where it should be. So that I am going to decide which will be called as a layout. Then about what type of process am I going to adopt? So whether process A or process B or process C, whichever is going to minimize your cost and maximize your efficiency, you will see both of them and decide about your process selection. Next is when to produce. Means you may have to use aggregate planning to decide about when to produce, how much to produce, and based on that, you will be creating a master production schedule, which we call it as MPS. These two will help you to decide about when to produce and how much to produce. Then, do we have materials to produce? That is the question you are asking yourself. So, your materials requirement planning, your management of inventory, and then sourcing of your raw materials, all those things you will be deciding for answering this question of do we have materials to produce? Are we producing the right things? It is about how do you manage your various processes, whether the process is in full control or not, those things here you try to decide. And then after you manufacture, you may have an outward inspection. While manufacturing, you may have an onward inspection. About your raw materials, you may have an inward inspection. So all these things done by your quality control or quality management. So you may have various responsible people to look after those things. Are our machines able to provide desired results? So here you have your maintenance management where you may do certain preventive maintenance activity, or you may do a breakdown maintenance activity, or you may think about doing a predictive maintenance activity. Briefly, when you say about breakdown maintenance, it is about something is already stuck, your machine is not performing, so it is under breakdown. So you may have to do a repair work. That is about breakdown maintenance. After a machine is failed, you are doing a repair work so that the machine can again restart functioning. Preventive maintenance is about creating a plan on a regular basis. I may do cleaning on daily basis. I may do uh, overhauling on a weekly basis. I may do some greasing and oiling on a fortnightly basis. Certain activities I may do monthly basis. Certain activities I may do bi-monthly. Sorry, once in 2 months I may do. Certain activities I may do quarterly. Certain activities I may do on a half yearly basis or a yearly basis. So these things you decide very well in advance based on your past data, past experience. You create a preventive maintenance and you do that. Predictive maintenance is about uh, using the past data. You are trying to predict the life of the spares or life of any equipment. So based on which you take a proactive action to replace it before it actually fails. So that is what you do in maintenance management. Then comes how to reach the product to the customers. So where you may be focusing about your warehousing activities, you may be focusing about your transportation. So how do you transport if it is a single product manufacturing company? What are all the scientific ways of doing it? How do you manage doing your allocation for satisfying the demand from your supply points? And then reverse logistics means when your customer rejects your material and it comes back to your place, how do you manage to take that into account and what are the learnings from those things? All those things you decide. So these are various decision areas where uh, operations management is involved, and you can also call this as a scope of operations management.